Hey folks, BCSG here. I'm just gonna do a quick channel introduction before I go into the top 5 lures. I basically started this channel to document my two primary hobbies, fish keeping and fishing. I'll start with fish keeping first. I've been keeping fish for about 20 years, on and off, not the entire 20 years. But I only really got into it about 7 years ago. And since then, I've accumulated about 9 fish tanks of various sorts. I have a planted tank, I have a Malawi fish tank, I have a South American cichlid tank, and a few others here and there, including my quarantine tanks and hospital tanks and all of that. Now, I know I don't have many aquarium videos up at the moment, but hopefully I find the time to get some out there soon. Alright, on to fishing. I've been fishing for about 25 years, maybe more. My dad got me into it. My dad loves fishing. He pretty much got me into it as soon as I could hold a rod, and I've been hooked since. But I only, maybe in the recent couple of years, started getting into fishing in local freshwaters, in our reservoirs in Singapore. And ever since I started that, that's pretty much all the fishing I do, because, well, I mean, it's convenient. Singapore is so small. We have a few places, a few different reservoirs you can go to, but nothing is more than half an hour or 45 minutes away. So hopefully my videos shed some light on fishing in Singapore. Hopefully I can teach you something, you can learn something new, or maybe not, maybe you just like watching me document my fishing adventures. Whatever the case, if you like my videos, if you want to see more, give me a subscribe, like my videos, and I'll catch you next time. Okay, so on to my 5 favorite lures to use in Singapore freshwaters. I'm going to start with this one here. This is one of my older favorites. This is the Yozuri Crystal Minnow. What I like about this lure is it's a fast floating lure. The focus of this mechanism is more to complement its diving action. When you retrieve this lure, it dives pretty quickly, and what that allows you to do is work all water levels in the entire water column. If you do a slow, twitchy kind of jerk and pause retrieve, you can keep the lure pretty high in the water column near the surface. But if you do a more constant retrieve and keep your rod tip down, this lure can dive pretty deep. It comes in many different colors. It comes in, I think, 4 or 5 different sizes, this being the smallest one. I have 2 colors here. This is the brown shiner, and I think this is the best. I'm not really sure, but neither of these are my favorite colors. My favorite color for the Crystal Minnow is actually Candy, which is a silverish white with a rainbow pattern. The reason why I don't have it here is because the last time I made a trip to McRitchie Reservoir, I got hung up on something and I had to break off. I couldn't get loose, so I'm gonna have to buy a new one. Alright, so next we have something that is featured quite often in my videos. This is the Rapala Ultralight Minnow 06. Now the 06, I assume, has something to do with the size, because 06 is 60 mm and the 04 size is 40 mm. It only comes in 2 sizes, 06 or 04. What I like about this minnow is it's a sinking minnow. It's a slow sinking minnow, but more than that, it sinks completely balanced like that. It's a completely neutral sinker. Some sinking minnows sink either front heavy or back heavy, and then you're going to have to manipulate the size of the hooks to just get them to sink neutral. This one, naturally, out of the box, it sinks completely neutral. As long as when you swap the hooks out, as long as the hooks are exactly the same size, exactly the same brand, chances are the lure is going to keep its neutrality when it sinks. What's good about that is when you have a lure that sinks front heavy or back heavy, sometimes when you do a fast twitchy retrieve, you're going to get into a situation where the lure kind of doubles back on itself, and the hooks tangle on your main line or on your leader, and then you're just going to have to retrieve it and undo that tangle and cast it out again. That's pretty inconvenient. So anyway, the swim action is nice. It has a nice rocking swim action. It doesn't sink fast. It's a slow sinker, so you actually have time to count down the lure to exactly where you want it in the water column before you start retrieving. It's almost like a suspending lure that sinks very slowly. So if you're interested in getting this lure, you can probably find it at Joel Tackle. I can't really remember how much it is. It's under $10, I think. Alright, so next one on the list of the top 5 is this lure. It's the Trulinoya. I don't know if you can see the branding. It's the Trulinoya backing minnow. I got this from Oceanic Works. Oceanic Works is a company that I think I've mentioned a couple of times in my videos. I'll put a link to them in the description. Now I got this lure from them. This is the backing minnow. It's a sinking minnow that flutters on the drop. Now that's something special right there. Fluttering on the drop means when you pause the retrieve, as it sinks, the lure kind of flutters like that. See, it sinks and it flutters. So you could say that the lure never stops swimming. It swims when you retrieve it, it flutters when you pause, and 90% of the time, if you use a lure like this, the bites are going to come on the drop. So you're going to retrieve it, pause, and then you're going to get a bite. So it seems that this flutter motion is what attracts the fish. It comes in like 10 different colors. The two colors I have here today are the candy color and a sort of, I don't know the name, but it is sort of the black version of the candy color, where it's dark on top, a bit translucent with that rainbow effect on the side. Alright, the last two lures I'm going to feature are my absolute favorite lures. You see them in every single video that I put out. The first one is, of course, the Pins Minnow by Yozuri. I have two here. I only have two colors for the Pins Minnow, and I only buy two colors. It's pretty straightforward. This one is more of a natural presentation. This is the rainbow trout color. I think I misdescribed it in one of my videos as baby perch or something, but this is the rainbow trout. I use this for clear days meaning clear water days, and I use this when the water is murky. That's plain and simple. Clear water, murky water, hot pink. So what I like about the Yozuri Pins Minnow, it's a floating minnow. It doesn't float as quickly as the crystal minnow, but it doesn't dive very deep either. It's pretty much a surface lure, not a top water, just a surface lure, and it has a brilliant swimming action to it. It has, all right, if I don't know if you can see it clearly, I'll try to put it in view here. If you look at the scales, it might be easier to see on this guy. All right, if you look at the side of the lure, that really does look like scales on a fish. It's a very unique kind of paint job that they're doing on the Pins Minnow. You don't really see it on any other minnow. Like if you look at the crystal minnow right here, they actually paint the scales. But on this one, they have a layering effect. And I think this really captures what the scales look like on a bait fish. It reflects light all over the place. It just flashes the lure underwater. I mean, I've used this rainbow trout in murky, really murky conditions, and I've still gotten bites just because of that flash. And yeah, so this is one of the Yozuri Pins Minnow is one of my favorite lures. You should go check it out. It comes in a few sizes. This is the smallest one. Now, I can't tell you where to buy it in Singapore because frankly I don't know. So I ship mine in from Amazon. I buy them in bulk, maybe 5 of each color every time I do. But yeah, so if anyone knows where I can get this size of Pins Minnow locally, do leave a comment. Thanks for that. Now moving on to the last lure of the top 5. This is also featured in many of my videos. This is the popper fly. Now, important thing to note about the popper fly is that the popper doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what popper you use. Maybe the color might matter depending on the water conditions, but the focus here is the fly. It's basically a popper with the hooks removed. I'll explain later why you need to remove the hooks. So with the hooks removed, attached to a leader of sorts, and then to a fly. Now how this popper fly works is a pretty simple concept. Now you can't cast flies on a spinning setup. Maybe you can, usually you can't. Without a fly setup, the only way we're going to be able to get the fly out there is to put some sort of weight on it. Now traditionally, folks would have a little split shot on the front of the fly. Sometimes they put a split shot somewhere along the leader, cast the fly out, but the problem with that is it changes the presentation of the fly. Flies do really well as surface bait. Hits the surface, you present the fly, the fish look from below, they think it's an insect or something, and they hit it. Now, if the fly is underwater, you're pulling it subsurface or submerged, that's not going to look very natural at all. So hence this setup. Now this is not the only way you can do it. You could actually use a float to serve the same purpose. It'll add some weight to the setup. It'll help you cast the fly out there, and it'll keep the fly floating. But the only downside I see about using a float is it doesn't have that popping action to attract the fish to look up. When you cast this out, the popper, it kind of pops along. The fish look up because of the disturbance, but they don't necessarily go for the popper, you see. But once they see this little thing trailing behind it, yeah, it's pretty irresistible to fish. On to why I don't put hooks on my popper. I've had a few friends ask me like, hey, why don't you just put a hook right here? Won't you get a fish striking the popper from time to time? Now that happens. In fact, maybe 2 or 3 out of the 10 casts, the fish will go for the popper. And so it's inevitable that you're like, oh crap, I wish I had put a hook there, because the fishes have been hitting that popper really hard. But the reason why you don't want to do that is because when you cast this, the leader is going to double back, and if there's a hook there, you're going to tangle every single cast. So hence I don't put hooks there. But besides, like I said, out of 10 casts, 2 or 3 of them are going to hit the popper. The rest of them, they're going to hit the fly. That's more than enough fish for you to deal with. Alright, so that's it. That's my top 5 favorite lures to use in Singapore freshwater. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, subscribe, give me a like, and I'll catch you next time.